If you've been playing Pokemon... What's up, everybody? Welcome to Tricky Jim. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hopefully you're having a lovely Wednesday so far and are ready for some Pokemon Trading Card Game discussion, because that's what we got on the agenda for today. It's about time I did my Mega Evolution set review, so that's what we're going to do. I am working on editing up some gameplay for the YouTube channel, release as soon as possible as well, but I want to get the set review done. You know, for a while I was a little I kind of was turned off by doing set reviews because I was like, what if the whole set is not very good? What if I have nothing nice to say? What if most of the cards are bad? And then I was like, you know what? The world needs somebody to say as much. Somebody's got to say it if all the cards are bad. So why not me? And fortunately, with Mega Evolution, not all the cards are bad, just most of the Megas. So we will have a lot to talk about. It's just, I am not the biggest believer in the 3 prize Mega Pokemon that we've seen thus far, but there's still a bunch to talk about with the new set, and there are some results from some of the Mega Pokemon, so we'll have that to talk about as well. We'll have that to talk about as well. Yeah, it's it is what it is, right? You gotta. I feel like the set review, it's like a fun thing. It's a fun thing to go through all the new cards and talk about them. So, why not do it? I like doing set reviews, even if all the cards are bad. I do. So there is if I like doing it, then we'll keep doing it. And then that means it's just going to make it more exciting for when we have a truly broken set, right? When there's truly a lot of really good stuff to talk about, then that just makes those set reviews even more special. Yo, huge thank you to Marco Spector getting out there early with the Prime sub in the 19 months. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Welcome everybody on Twitch. Welcome everybody on YouTube. Got a couple of shouts. To get out before we get started with our set review. First of all, we have got the Full Grip Games. The Full Grip Games is vending the Pittsburgh Regional Championship. So if you are headed to the Pittsburgh Regional Championships, make sure to check out the Full Grip Games booth. We will be there this weekend. I will not be there, unfortunately, but my wife Natalie and many of the other Full Grip Games employees will be there slinging cards. And I am positive that we will have the best booth around. So definitely make sure to check out the Full Grip Games booth. Shop at Full Grip Games. Directly supports the content I create here on Tricky Jim. Helps me and my wife and a lot of my friends keep our jobs. So thank you for supporting the shop at Full Grip Games. Makes a huge difference. We'll be buying and selling all weekend at the Pittsburgh Regional Championships. And if you would like to pick up an order that you place ahead of time at the Pittsburgh Regional Championships, you could do that pretty much today. I think we're turning off Pittsburgh pickup at Thursday morning early. So it's probably, unfortunately, Gaming Gen did not announce vendors until this week. So we didn't have a lot of time to do order pickup at the event. But we have that available for today. So if you'd like to pick up something that is on fullgripgames.com at the event, you could do that right here. Yo, thank you, Secluded Loaf, for that Prime sub in the 25 months as well. Appreciate it. Did you know Jeff Bezos gives you one free Prime subscription to a streamer of your choice on Twitch to help them financially with your Amazon Prime subscription? That's right. All you have to do is log in and do it. So, thank you so much for choosing Tricky Jim for your Prime sub. I appreciate that. We have also got the Mega Evolution $6,000 cash doubleheader coming up at the end of the month, September 27th and 28th. It is fast approaching, chat, so sign up if you plan on attending and mark your calendar so you could tune in here on Twitch and YouTube. We've got the standard Mega Evolution Legal event happening on Saturday, September 27th, and the Gym Leader Challenge Mega Evolution Legal event happening Sunday, September 28th. Going to be about 100 players at each of them, hopefully, if you sign up. So that is happening in about a week and a half. I'm going to be co-casting and producing the events with my friends JW Creewall and Riley Hulbert, my co-hosts of the Tag Team Podcast. I just recorded a Tag Team Podcast episode last night with JW. So if you haven't already, definitely make sure to check out Tag Team Podcast on YouTube. It is a weekly Pokemon TCG podcast that's been running since 2019. All right, we've been at it for a long time. I have to admit, originally it was just Riley and JW, but then they drafted me in about a year ago or so. So it's been a ton of fun to be a part of. On last night's episode that JW and I recorded, we pretty much went over all of the results from Standard. So if you're like, dang it, Andrew, why don't you talk Standard with me? Well, I spent about an hour and a half talking Standard with JW last night on the Tag Team Podcast. So that's where you can find that, okay? Tag Team Podcast, JW and I, we get deep into the Standard trenches talking about card counts and all that for you Standard Andies out there who want to know about the nitty-gritty of what to play for Pittsburgh. That's going to be going up probably today on YouTube and all other podcasting platforms. But a lot of interesting results from, the Frankfurt and Monterey regional championships. And again, you could check out my reaction, mine and JW's reactions to those on the Tag Team Podcast, which should be going up any moment now, really. I mean, probably today, I'd have to imagine. Since JW is attending Pittsburgh, I know he wants to get the podcast out as soon as he can before Pittsburgh. So, yeah. $6,000 cash doubleheader, full grip games. Yep, going to be a great time. Can't wait for that. And then 2 regional championships over the weekend. And we've got the Mega Evolution set. PokemonProxies.com. Let's go, baby. Let's go. Shout out to Jack from Team Omnipoke for putting all these together. They really are great little proxies. I use them for so much. It is an awesome resource. He's already got stuff from Inferno X up here. I mean, look at how good these look, right? Thank you, Tulsa Tamer Society Network, for the Prime sub over there on Twitch. Appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, we already got our Phantasmal Flames. And, dude, have you guys seen how nice the Phantasmal Flames artwork looks? What the heck, dude? Let's see, do they got fantastic? Like, what in the world? Do you guys see how dope that logo looks? I don't know why. For some reason, product images. I haven't been able to find like the set logo on like the back end of Pokemon's like product images that they've been given. They used to have like just the logo somewhere, and now I don't. Anyways, we can look at the booster box. Just let me see the. Yeah. Anyways, you guys see the logo? Logo looks sweet. It's a nice looking logo. Beautiful, honestly. Looks like I downloaded it 3 times. Nice. All right. Anyways, let's get into it, shall we? Mega Evolution set review. Oh, yeah. The return of Mega Pokemon to the Pokemon TCG. Now, these Mega Pokemon from our upcoming Mega Evolution expansion are different than the previous Mega Evolution Pokemon that were released in the Pokemon TCG. All of the Mega Evolution Pokemon EX from the X and Y era were 2 prize Pokemon that you had to attach a silly little spirit link to in order to not end your turn when you evolved them. Basically, it seems like the Pokemon Company was trying really hard to make it so that the X and Y Mega Evolution Pokemon were not overpowered, almost too much so. The Spirit Link mechanic, I think, was a relatively unpopular mechanic, at least from what I could tell while playing through the era. It kind of made it so that you just had to devote 4 deck spaces to these Spirit Links. And then one of the most frustrating things about the Spirit Link deal was that the Spirit Links didn't like go together, right? So if you wanted to play 2 different megas in your deck and you didn't want to end your turn every time you evolved, you had to play 2 different sets of Spirit Links, which was pretty much just unreasonable. Nobody ever did that. So decks just had to waste a lot of space on Spirit Links. They kind of sucked. So stoked to see that these new Mega Pokemon do not have the whole Spirit Link thing going on. However, it is also weird. We've got like Mega Gardevoir EX evolving straight from Kirlia. That's not really the way that it goes canonically, right? In the Pokemon franchise. Mega Pokemon Mega Evolve from their, regular form. So like a Gardevoir evolves into Mega Gardevoir. Manectric evolves into Mega Manectric, right? But for, I guess, ease of mechanics, they kind of simplified it in the Pokemon TCG by just making it so that Mega Manectric EX evolves from Electrike. So your Electrike can evolve into a regular Manectric or a Mega Manectric EX, kind of skipping over the whole, Mega Evolution thing as we know it from the video games. And honestly, that doesn't bother me that much because the Pokemon Trading Card Game is its own game, and its mechanics kind of have to make sense within the confines of itself, right? Like the trading card game has to make sense mechanically for the trading card game. And personally, I like the fact that the trading card game developers don't feel like they have to, mirror exactly what happens in the video games 1-to-1. I think I would find that more annoying if Creatures, the company that develops the trading card game, felt like they had to, mirror the video games at all costs, even if it meant like worse gameplay mechanics. That being said, it is kind of easy to imagine Pokemon doing the Mega Evolution thing correctly, right? Because in the past, we had Pokemon Break, which were essentially Mega evolved like Pokemon, right? They were like stage 3s. They were like additional evolution steps. We also had Pokemon Level X, which were also a kind of like leveling up mechanic, not too different from the idea of Mega Evolving. So it is a little bit funny that they decided to just do away with these kinds of mechanics that would have made more sense for Mega Evolving, and instead just tried to go for simplicity and just make your regular Pokemon evolve into Mega Pokemon. So one thing that I do enjoy about this form of Mega Evolution, kind of just like in big, broad statements, is that it does make deck building very easy. So that's something that I really enjoy. Like Lucario can be featured in the same deck very easily with Mega Lucario. You can have your Riolu evolve into both of them. It just makes deck building super streamlined. And that was not something that we saw with the X and Y era Mega Pokemon. So I think it'll be much easier to kind of randomly splash in a Mega Pokemon into your deck, which does give them, I think, more potential in the future, as you could always just kind of slide in a thin Mega Evolution line if you want to. Thank you, Mime Militia, for that tier 1 sub in the 18 months over on Twitch. Yo, good luck opening your own store in Virginia, for sure. Good luck, good luck. Let's see, what else? What else? Any other broad Mega statements that we ought to make before we get rolling on the individual card front? I kind of just, started yapping. But there's a lot to yap about with the return of Mega Pokemon to the Pokemon TCG. Yeah, nope, they're not Pokemon breaks. They're not level ups. They're just like evolved Pokemon. Oh, yeah. And I also really appreciate that the Pokemon Company made it so that Mega Evolution Pokemon don't have to evolve from 2 prizers, right? Like the Mega Evolution Pokemon can just evolve from single prize Pokemon. I like that. I really was not a fan of Pokemon V-Stars, Pokemon V-Max, or even the original Mega Pokemon were kind of weak, in my opinion. Weakly designed, I should say. Having to have kind of like a nothing burger 2 prize Pokemon in play before you get like your Mega guy online is kind of just bad card design, if you ask me. It's bad game design. It just makes the game kind of like, stinky and boring, and also makes it so that like you have these huge liabilities just kind of lying around your board that your opponent can knock out before you get to like evolve into your maximum Mega Ultra guy, right? Like, think of Pokemon like Giratina V. No, Giratina V was actually kind of good, okay? But like, think about like who's like the worst? Yeah, Giratina V would actually use its first attack, okay, but like, Mew V, Arceus V was kind of lame, right? Like, you just had to have these guys online that were just kind of like sitting. Palkia V was horrible, right? And pretty much all of the dudes that evolved from Urshifu V, yeah. All those guys. Ice Rider, Calyrex V, horrible. Shadow Rider, Calyrex V, horrible. There were some guys that were it's just like, why is this guy even like, and I have to play like 3 of these in my deck. It was miserable, right? And they give up 2 prizes, so. Yo, thank you, Badoo Fan, for that sub in the 2 months. Appreciate you, Badoo Fan. But yeah, so anyways, all in all, I think there is both good and bad with the way that these new Mega Pokemon have been developed. I think that It's cool in that deck building should be super streamlined and easy. It's not overly complicated to incorporate a Mega Evolution Pokemon into your deck. I think that is just like a great thing. But then from the creativity side of things, it does feel like maybe there were some missed opportunities because these Mega Evolution Pokemon are just kind of big and obnoxious. And that's something that we'll be getting into with our set review. So let's go. First Mega Evolution Pokemon I want to talk about is Mega Venusaur EX, the biggest of them all. 380 hit points. It's got an ability and an attack. Solar Trans makes it so that you can move your basic grass energy around your board freely, which is really good. It's also a callback to the original. Let's see, I'll do this correctly. Let's see, make it a good clip here. Bang, 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 bang. It's also a callback to the original Venusaur from base set, which had the Energy Trans Pokemon power. So it is cool to see those abilities. It is cool to see that ability reference, the classic base set Venusaur from the first set of the game. And this ability can be very good in current standard format since we have lots of ways to accelerate energy. I shouldn't say lots of ways, since we have a great way to accelerate grass energy into play with Teal Mask Ogerpon and its Teal Dance ability. Mega Venusaur EX also has the Jungle Dump attack, which costs 4 grass energy, does 240 damage, and you heal 30 damage from Mega Venusaur. 240 damage is enough damage to knock out most of your basic Pokemon EX, almost all support Pokemon. So it is a decent chunk of damage, and with 380 hit points, Mega Venusaur EX is actually getting up to that point where it is pretty tough to one-hit KO, even for your one-hit KO style decks like Golden Go, right? Like Golden Go needs 8 energy plus a 9th attached to it. So it does need a lot of energy in order to take the knockout on Mega Venusaur. That being said, this kind of will be a common theme for Mega Evolution Pokemon. They give up 3 prize cards when they get knocked out, and there are certainly decks in standard format that can take clean one-hit knockouts on even the largest Mega Evolution Pokemon, like Golden Go EX and Raging Bolt EX. Now, judging from the results from the latest regional championships, it actually seemed like Golden Go EX and Raging Bolt EX were not at the forefront of the results, right? They didn't make the biggest impression at those events, with decks like Gardevoir and Dragapult and even Terrabox making more of a statement. So it could become a Metacall type thing with these Mega Evolution Pokemon if you're not expecting a bunch of one-hit KO style decks, then maybe it could be a better time to play your Mega Evolution deck. Now, it's not really worth talking about Mega Venusaur unless we are also going to talk about the other incredible grass support that we get in the Mega Evolution expansion, like Meganium with its Wild Growth ability, which makes it so that each basic grass energy attached to your Pokemon provides 2 grass energy instead. So that makes it so that your Mega Venusaur can take a That makes it so that your Mega Venusaur could take a Jungle Dump for just 2 grass energy. Isn't that just great? And with the Teal Mask Ogerpon, you can easily accelerate those energy into play and then move them to your Mega Venusaur, and you got yourself a pretty cool deck. Now, unfortunately, this is a lot of Stage 2 Pokemon, right? Setting up both Meganium and Mega Venusaur. Well, That sounds like a lot of work. But wait, there is the perfect card to help you set up all of your grass evolution Pokemon. Lush Forest, which is a new stadium card that makes it so that each player's grass Pokemon may evolve into a grass Pokemon on the turn they were played, except on that player's first turn. So you gotta wait your first turn. No springing up stage 2 Pokemon on the first turn of the game. But from turn 2 onward, you could play Lush Forest, a new stadium card from Mega Evolution, and instantly evolve up your grass Pokemon into play. This is obviously very similar to the Forest of Giant Plants Stadium, which was printed during the X and Y block, which is similar to the Broken Time Space Stadium that was printed during the Diamond and Pearl era. So, or was it the Platinum era? One of those two. Anyways, breaking the rules of evolution is pretty much always good in the Pokemon TCG, so I do expect Lush Forest to eventually see some play. If Lush Forest isn't good, it's not because the stadium is not good. It's because grass Pokemon are just in a terrible spot in the Pokemon TCG. And honestly, of all the types in the Pokemon TCG, it does feel like grass Pokemon are always getting the short end of the stick. If we think about like the last truly powerful grass decks in the Pokemon TCG, the Sun and Moon era, Decidueye GX in combination with Forest of Giant Plants was incredible. You could set up Vileplume and item lock your opponent while also using Feather Arrow to snipe damage. There was like a Leafeon VMAX deck that was okay, you know, but this does feel like the strongest grass support that we have gotten in a very long time in the Pokemon TCG. And with Meganium and Venusaur, it actually turns your Teal Mask Ogerpon into an absolute powerhouse attacker. Teal Mask Ogerpon is definitely one of the strongest grass Pokemon printed in recent history. This card is being played in a lot of different decks because of its Teal Dance ability, which just generates energy into play while also drawing cards. So a very strong basic Pokemon, but its attack Myriad Leaf Shower gets really powerful with Meganium, right? Meganium doubles up your grass energy in play, and with 3 energy attached, you're doing 3, 6, 9, 12, 120 base damage, right? That's without counting any energy that might be on your opponent's active Pokemon, since Myriad Leaf Shower does 30 damage plus 30 more damage for each energy attached to both active Pokemon. But if you've got a Meganium in play and you have 3 grass energy on your Teal Mask Ogerpon, you're doing 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 20. We're doing 210 damage for just 3 energy. And that's a lot for 3 energy. You know, previously, I had never really thought about Teal Mask Ogerpon EX as a one-hit KO attacker, but it is very easy to start taking big one-hit KOs with Teal Mask Ogerpon if you've got both Venusaur and Meganium online. Since Mega Venusaur EX can use its Solar Trans ability to take all of the energy that you've accelerated into play off of your other Teal Mask Ogerpon and move them to a single Teal Mask Ogerpon, and Meganium's Wild Growth ability doubles up those energy. So if you've got 5 energy attached to your Teal Mask Ogerpon, you're doing 330 damage. That's pretty insane, right? For 5 energy, which is not that hard to do, you're doing 330 damage. And that's with 0 energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon. Because keep in mind, if your opponent is helping you out at all, then that number goes down. If you've got 4 energy on a Teal Mask Ogerpon, you're doing 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 270 base damage, right? And then if your opponent's active has 2 energy attached to them, you're doing 330 damage. So you could see how quickly this ramps up. And that's something that was really unexpected for me once I started getting my hands on the Mega Venusaur EX and the Meganium deck, is just how fast these one-hit KOs really ramp up. So that was a neat takeaway for me. Teal Mask Ogerpon EX gets even stronger with all of these grass support Pokemon coming into the mix. You could also play Hydrapple EX. Hydrapple EX also combos really well with the Meganium. It's got the Ripening Charge ability, which allows you to attach a basic grass energy from your hand to one of your Pokemon and heal 30 damage. And its Syrup Storm attack does 30 damage plus 30 more damage for each grass energy attached to all of your Pokemon. So you do have this option as well. Personally, I was having a lot of fun with the Mega Venusaur, but Hydrapple EX is certainly also an option. All right, cool. I think I covered everything there. Cards like Exeggutor, it's like you would never play. Like, I understand that Wood Stomp is supposed to be, you know, a card you could combo with Venusaur and Meganium, but it's just like not. It's just not worth it. I don't think. Yeah. No. It's just not worth it. You're going to want a better attacker like Teal Mask or something. Okay, let's check the other grass Pokemon. While we're on the grass Pokemon, let's just... Oh, yeah. There's also this little guy in the new grass cards. Shuckle, the Shuckster, 80 hit points. It's got the Ferment Juice ability, which says once during your turn, if this Pokemon has any grass energy attached, you get to heal 30 damage from one of your Pokemon. It's pretty cool. You can combo that with Mega Venusaur EX. You can move a grass energy to it with the Solar Trans ability and then heal 30 damage. And then Mega Venusaur EX's Jungle Dump attack also heals 30 damage. If you have 2 Shuckle on your bench, you can move a single grass energy to like both of them and trigger both of their abilities to heal 60 damage. It's pretty cool. Now, unfortunately, Mega Venusaur EX can only move basic grass energy. If Mega Venusaur could move like luminous energy or prism energy? If Mega Venusaur EX could move luminous energy or prism energy, then you would be able to do this cool combo with Monkey Dory, where you move the energy to Monkey Dory and then use its Adrenabrain ability and then move the energy back off. But unfortunately, that is not possible because Mega Venusaur EX's Solar Trans is limited to just basic grass energy. Yeah, I said unfortunately. That would be sick, dude. Come on now. Yeah, that's right. I said unfortunately. Yeah, they just don't want to see grass gamers have any fun. Listen, Monkey Dory is super annoying, that's for sure, but grass decks can use all the help they can get. Powering 4 Monkey Dory with a single attachment. All right. Now that you say it like that, maybe powering up 4 Monkey Dory with a single attachment is not actually good. All right, maybe you're right. Maybe that's not actually good game design. Up next, we got my dude, Mega Camerupt EX, a Stage 1 Mega Pokemon with 340 hit points and the Roasting Heat attack, which costs a single fire energy. And if your opponent's active Pokemon is burned, the attack does 160 more damage. So 80 plus 160, 240 base damage plus the 20 damage from burn. That's 260 damage, but wait, there's more. Who is it? It's not Volcarona. It's Magmortar. If you've got Magmortar in play, then you put 3 more damage counters on your opponent's burned Pokemon between turns. So that 260 turns into 290 damage for just a single fire energy. And that seems very good. Obviously, 290 damage for 1 energy is quite good. However, the thing about Mega Camerupt EX is that it's just a 3 prize Pokemon, right? And your opponent only needs to knock out 2 Mega Camerupt EX in order to win the game. And Mega Camerupt EX is not actually one-hit KOing most Stage 2 Pokemon with its Roasting Heat attack. So my question becomes, why would you play a Mega Camerupt EX deck over Golden Go EX, right? Because Golden Go EX is also a Stage 1 Pokemon EX that can take big one-hit knockouts for just a single energy. So it does seem like Golden Go EX is just better. You also don't have to play cards like Volcanion EX in order to burn your opponent's active Pokemon before you attack, right? Golden Go EX just deals damage with its Make It Rain attack and also draws cards, which is something that Mega Camerupt EX does not do. So that's kind of the issue that I ran into with testing Mega Camerupt EX, is that there's just no reality where I would rather play the 3 prize Mega Camerupt EX over Golden Go EX. Golden Go EX is just the better Stage 1 Pokemon EX that does a lot of damage for 1 energy. But if you like camels, then this certainly is a very funny, haha kind of burn deck that you could play. Why is burn never, ever good in the Pokemon TCG? Honestly, is burn the most maligned, most forgotten, most ignored special condition in the Pokemon TCG? I mean, burn gets absolutely no respect. Poison has done some pretty good things in the game's history, but burn has like never been good. Ever. And that doesn't change with Mega Camerupt. I'm sorry. I got someone in YouTube saying Golden Go does lose to this. No, it does not, because Golden Go will just go one-hit KO your Camel, and then Camerupt can one-hit KO your Golden Go, and then Golden Go goes one-hit KO your Camel, and they win. So, like, Golden Go would just win in 2 attacks. And then if you're playing, like, Togekiss, you could take 4 prizes on a Camel, right? Because you can afford to like play a card like Togekiss, because you don't have to be playing cards like Volcanion or Magmortar or Volcarona, right? Like, you don't have to play any of that extra stuff if you're playing a Golden Go deck. So you actually have the luxury of space in your deck so you can play Togekiss to take even more prizes when you take knockouts. Single prize Camerupt? No, there's no single prize Camerupt. What? No. These cards are really bad, chat. No. Look, no. There's nothing here worth talking about, chatters. There's nothing here worth talking. Listen, I am a huge Camerupt enjoyer. I love Camerupt. I think Camerupt is one of the coolest fire Pokemon that exist. I love Camerupt. Camerupt is extremely handsome. In fact, if you were to pull up my Mega Evolution tier list that I created, like, I don't know, a year ago, you would see Mega Camerupt is towards the top of my tier list because I know him to be that handsome. But just because I like Camerupt, I cannot will Camerupt into being a good card in the metagame. That's just not how it works. No amount of copium is going to make this card good, unfortunately. Mega Camerupt EX also has the Volcano Meteor attack, which does 280 damage for a fire and 3 colorless energy. You have to discard 2 energy from this Pokemon. Sure, if you have a fire energy attached and then sack an ignition energy, you could just do 280. It just doesn't matter. You're better off using Roasting Heat with Volcanion EX and then like the whole Magmortar package, but even that is just still not very good. Thank you, Horsey, for that sub in the 73 months over on Twitch, as well as Moss705 with the 2 years. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Thank you. Right. If you burn, all right. I guess it's worth mentioning that if you burn your opponent's active Pokemon with Volcanion EX, and then you also have Magmortar online with the Magma Surge ability, and you have Ignition Energy, you can Volcano Meteor for 330 damage. But it's just still not worth it. Like, that's so much crap to have going on to do 330 damage. Do you know how many other decks in the Pokemon TCG do 330 damage just so much easier than that? It's just not worth it. No amount of cope in the chat can solve the fact that burn is not a very good special condition. All right, now I think this card is really cool. Cinderace has got the Explosiveness ability, which says if this Pokemon is in your hand when you are setting up to play, you may put it face down as your active Pokemon. Old heads like me will always look at a card like this and be like, you know, Talonflame from Steam Siege got second place at the World Championships in 2016. Nothing is impossible, chat. All right? Nothing is impossible. I remember watching this World Championships. Cody Walensky Greninja Break featuring 4 copies of Talonflame. I mean, how cool, right? If you open the card, you could just start it as your active Pokemon. So part of me will always remember that and will always look at cards with this kind of ability and be like, you know, there's something there. Even if there isn't. This Cinderace has got the Flare Turbo attack, which costs 1 colorless energy, does 50 damage, and allows you to search your deck for up to 3 basic energy and attach them to your bench Pokemon in any way you like. Objectively, a very strong attack. But I don't think that there is a combination with this Cinderace that really makes sense right now. Something that I could imagine is if there's like a really broken Mega Pokemon that needs additional support and you really just want to play like just that Mega Pokemon and nothing else, then you could play 4 copies of Cinderace and like a thin Mega line with the idea of opening Cinderace, accelerating energy to it, and then you just kind of go in with your Mega Pokemon. I think that's kind of the concept for the Cinderace card. Like, for instance, you could play Cinderace in combination with a Mega Pokemon like Mega Mawile EX, right? Mega Mawile EX, basic Mega Pokemon with 270 hit points. It's got 2 attacks. Its first attack, Greedily Devour, does 80 damage for each prize card you have taken, and Big Bite does 260 damage. And if your opponent's active Pokemon already has any damage counters on it, the attack does 30 damage instead. You know, a big basic Mega Pokemon like this, you could power it up with Cinderace. Yeah, I don't know. But like, no, that's just not worth it, right? I think conceptually the Cinderace could be used to power up a big Mega Evolution Pokemon that doesn't have any other support available to it. Since Mega Evolution Pokemon give up 3 prizes when they get knocked out, hypothetically, you could force your opponent to knock out a Cinderace and then force your opponent to knock out 2 Mega Evolution Pokemon as well, right? And you'd be forcing the 7 prize game. I think that's kind of how the game designers imagined Cinderace potentially being used. I just don't know if the game is in a place where taking that kind of risk with your setup makes sense with all of the other better options available right now. But since Talonflame did get second at Worlds, I can't totally discount it, right? Like, I just can't. Keep your eye on this card. It could eventually do something. It could. Set up 3 Monkey Dory. That's crazy. Cinderace could be interesting in Golden Go. Set up all your Gimme Ghouls at once to make it easier to find the other energy. You are committing an energy to it, though. And you're probably not knocking anything out. So, like, that's the thing is, you know, you're putting an energy. It's like, in Golden Go, do you actually want to, like, thin that many energy out of your deck? You kind of want those energy, like, in the deck so that you can hit them with eSearch Pro or something. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not. Yeah, no. So if we look at the, you know, I think it's worth it to actually show off the deck that did. to give you an idea of the kind of deck that worked with this kind of ability in the past, this is Cody Walensky's second place Greninja Break deck from the 2016 World Championships. It plays 4 copies of Talonflame and only 3 Froakie, okay? And the reason that this deck was able to work is because the deck could set up without Talonflame, but if you happen to open Talonflame, it was just incredible. But you certainly had a game plan if you didn't open Talonflame, because of Frogadier's Water Duplicates attack, which will read very similar to anybody who played with Gardevoir and the Mirage Step Curlia, right? Water Duplicates allows you to just search your deck for up to 3 Frogadier and put them onto your bench. So you can see how it kind of all works perfectly together, right? You've got Talonflame, which if you open is very good for setting up. It allows you to go search your deck for 2 cards and put them into your hand. Also, Greninja Break is a spread attacker, right? The Giant Water Shuriken ability allows you to spread damage on your opponent's side of the board, and then the Shadow Stitching attack only does 40 damage, so you're kind of like poking your opponent and then spreading damage all at the same time. So that 40 damage with the Talonflame early on is also super relevant because you start softening things up and then you finish them off with your Giant Water Shuriken later in the game. What I'm trying to say is that this all fit perfectly together. It was like the ideal scenario for a Pokemon like Talonflame to be featured in the deck. Never have we seen a deck quite like Greninja Break in the nearly decade since. I mean, really, it's like a one of one in the Pokemon TCG. Greninja Break is like a stage 3 deck that only plays 3 Froakie. I mean, how weird is that? It's crazy, right? So comparing other decks to Greninja Break is almost no way to do it. That being said, I still can't help but look at Pokemon that have these powerful, put into play when you open it abilities. I have to look at those cards with potential because of the fact that Greninja Break existed. So, like, in all likelihood, Cinderace will not be good, but it could be, right? It could be. Jack says, wasn't this concept and format together with Luxray and Gardevoir, the Mirage Step Curler? Why didn't anybody play that? Because the Luxray, let's see. First of all, yeah, Luxray Seeking Fame, search your deck for 2 trainer cards. Not as good as search your deck for any 2 cards. But the big reason is because Gardevoir wanted to play other support Pokemon. And the Gardevoir wanted to play other attackers as well. You played like Zacian V. You just played other attackers, right? You know what I mean? Like Greninja was an entirely single prize deck. Gardevoir is a deck that had Pokemon V and Pokemon EX in play. So like Greninja was an entirely single prize deck. So that's why it relied on a single prize support Pokemon like Talonflame. Whereas Gardevoir was a deck that, yeah, and it had refinement. Like, you just didn't need that extra support as the Gardevoir deck, right? Because as soon as you went and got your 3 Curlia into play, they could all use refinement and just start drawing tons of cards. Like, you just didn't need it, right? That's what I'm saying. Greninja was just a very unique deck. It's a very unique deck. It, probably won't ever be replicated in the Pokemon TCG, but you never know. So anyways, Cinderace. All right, any other good fire pokes? No, there is not. Fighting, there's some good fighting Pokemon in this set. Chi-Yu deserves a mention? No shot. No way. Couldn't see it. Mega Lucario EX seems to be, from early results from Japan, Mega Lucario EX seems to be the most initially successful Mega Pokemon EX. It's a Stage 1 Mega Pokemon with 340 hit points and 2 great attacks. Aura Jab, for 1 fighting energy, does 130 damage and allows you to attach up to 3 basic fighting energy from your discard pile to your bench Pokemon in any way you like. And then Mega Brave does 270 damage for 2 fighting energy, and during your next turn, this Pokemon cannot use Mega Brave. Now that, all pretty good. I mean, just some pretty decent stats on that card, but honestly, it's kind of the support surrounding Mega Lucario EX that makes this card so good. So let's take a look at everything and talk about this card big picture, because the whole Mega Lucario deck is kind of like in this set. First of all, we've got the trainers, Premium Power Pro and Fighting Gong. Fighting Gong allows you to search your deck for a basic fighting Pokemon or a basic fighting energy and put it into your hand. So great setup card, great consistency card. It's awesome. It's like a fighting nest ball that could also get you a basic fighting energy. Wonderful. Then we've also got Premium Power Pro, like Power Tablet and Electro Power before it. Premium Power Pro makes it so that during the turn that you play it, attacks used by your fighting Pokemon do 30 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. So they also stack, which means that if you play 2 Premium Power Pro in the same turn, then your fighting Pokemon are doing 60 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon, up to 120 additional damage if you play all 4 Premium Power Pro at the same time, if you play all 4 Premium Power Pro during the same turn. And Premium Power Pro can really help your Mega Lucario EX hit those big numbers that you're going to want to hit to take one-hit KOs on Stage 2 Pokemon. Mega Brave with 2 Premium Power Pro is doing 330 damage. Aura Jab with a couple of Premium Power Pro can hit up to 190 damage. So you're really helping Mega Lucario to kind of reach those numbers that you're going to want to hit with both of these attacks. But even without Premium Power Pro, Aura Jab is one-hit KOing support Pokemon like Pheasantipity EX, since Pheasantipity is weak to fighting, and Mega Brave is one-hit KOing a lot of Stage 1 Pokemon EX like Goldango EX without any buffs. Thank you, Zader, for the Prime sub and the 10 months over on Twitch. Appreciate that. Thank you, thank you. And then my favorite part of the new fighting support is the Solrock and Lunatone combo. These Pokemon are just so cool, and I love them. They're fantastic. Lunatone has the Lunar Cycle ability, which, if you have a Solrock in play, allows you to discard a basic fighting energy from your hand, and you get to draw 3. You can't use more than 1 Lunar Cycle a turn. And then Solrock is not just a bench sitter, folks. It's got the Cosmo Beam attack for 1 fighting energy, does 70 damage, and you can only use it if you've got a Lunatone on your bench, and the attack is not affected by weakness or resistance. So Solrock can kind of lead the charge for your fighting deck, not unlike Fan Rotom. And we have seen how powerful Fan Rotom can be in the Pokemon TCG for taking those early knockouts on evolving basics like Ralts or Dreepy or Gimmighoul. I mean, all decks are playing these small, low HP Pokemon to help set up, right? You've even got Badoo, which could easily get smacked by a Cosmo Beam. So Solrock, very good lead in these fighting decks. And with the assistance of Premium Power Pro, Solrock can hit some really good numbers. With a single Premium Power Pro, you're dealing 100 damage with Solrock, which is enough to knock out most evolving Stage 1 Pokemon. I'm thinking Dracloak, I'm thinking Curlia, right? Because Cosmo Beam is not affected by resistance either, so you don't have to worry about fighting resistance on any of these Pokemon. You can also knock out opposing Fan Rotom, since Cosmo Beam is not affected by resistance. So a very strong lead for these fighting decks, and honestly, fighting Pokemon deserve it. Fighting decks are supposed to be these low to the ground, low energy, get out the gates quickly kind of decks. And finally, fighting decks have not only a consistency engine, but also a hard-hitting early option that they've been missing for quite a long time. So the Solrock and Lunatone, I love them. I love the game design. I think they fit into the fighting pool of cards really well. And fortunately, the fun doesn't end there, because fighting decks are also getting access to Hariyama. And Hariyama has the Sumo Catcher ability, which says when you play this card from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon, you get to switch one of your opponent's bench Pokemon with their active Pokemon. So it's just an evolving-based gust effect, which can also be very good for allowing your Mega Lucario or your Solrock to chase down the exact target that you want them to hit early on in the game. Can also help you to close out games with Mega Brave at the end. Hariyama is also a good attacker. Its Wild Press attack does 210 damage for 3 fighting energy, and Hariyama does 70 damage to itself. So if you use Wild Press a couple of times, I mean, you're going to be nearly knocking yourself out, but Wild Press can actually get in there if we remind ourselves that Aura Jab allows you to attach up to 3 basic fighting energy from your discard pile to your bench Pokemon in any way you like. You can throw 3 energy onto a Makuhita and then evolve into Hariyama, use Wild Press to knock out basic Pokemon EX. You can knock out Teal Mask Ogerpon, you can knock out Fezandipity. I mean, a lot of basic Pokemon EX can get knocked out by Hariyama. With a Premium Power Pro, you can even knock out the likes of Raging Bolt EX, hitting 240 damage. So a very strong attacker in its own right. And having both Solrock and Hariyama really helps the Mega Lucario deck to... It really helps the Mega Lucario deck to prize map in a favorable way. You can lead Mega Lucario EX and accelerate energy into play, and then take knockouts with Hariyama and your Solrock, and then at the very end of the game, you can evolve into one more Mega Lucario EX and force your opponent to take a big 3-prize knockout when maybe they only have 1 prize remaining. And that can force an 8-prize game on your opponent, which is something that you're going to want to try and do if you're prize mapping in a Mega Evolution deck. So Mega Lucario, more so than any of the other Mega Pokemon so far, has like a great amount of support surrounding it to help it be successful. And I think that's one of the reasons that it's seeing the most success early on in Japan. There's also just some incredible synergy between Lunatone and Mega Lucario EX. Lunatone's Lunar Cycle puts those basic fighting energy into the discard pile, and then you get to accelerate those energy right back into play with Aura Jab. The Fighting Gong can go and get you a basic fighting energy out of the deck. If you want a basic fighting energy to draw with Lunar Cycle, and since Lunatone is a single prize Pokemon, it really allows you to play that 8 prize game if you want to, right? Because you don't have to play other 2 prize support Pokemon like Fezandipiti EX in order to have a valid game plan with this Mega Lucario deck. You can play the Mega Lucario deck just like it's a single prize fighting deck, and then just Mega Evolve when it's correct to. So I think structurally the Mega Lucario deck is really good. It's really fun to play as well from the early testing that I've done with Jesse Parker. It's just been a lot of fun. And if we take a look at the City League results from Japan, Mega Lucario EX is also winning some City Leagues. So we could take a look at these lists and see what kind of lists are being successful early on in the Mega Evolution format. It seems like the most popular ace spec for Mega Lucario is that Maximum Belt, which makes a lot of sense, right? Because in combination with Premium Power Pro, Maximum Belt allows you to hit some sky-high numbers with Mega Lucario. You're hitting base 320 damage with your Mega Brave attack with Max Belt, and then with Premium Power Pro, you can hit upwards of 350, 380. You can knock out opposing Mega Pokemon EX. You can knock out Gardevoir EX through resistance. Yeah, you can hit some really big numbers. We see this list here is also playing the single prize Lucario with the Avenging Knuckle attack, which does 150 damage if any of your fighting Pokemon were knocked out during the last turn. 150 can easily hit upwards of 200 if you've got some buffs in there. You could also one-hit KO support Pokemon like Fezandipiti EX with that Lucario also. So really cool deck. I like this construction of the deck that we see right here, represented in this City League list with no other liabilities, just Makuhita, Solrock, Lunatone, Lucario. That's my favorite way to play it right now. Just kind of build the deck as creatures, delivers it to you in the Mega Evolution set, and it's pretty good. Now, the one glaring weakness of Mega Lucario is that it is weak to Psychic, right? I mean, that's not great. Being weak to Psychic in current standard format is almost a death sentence, right? Because if we take a look at the most recent tournament results, the Frankfurt and Monterey Regional Championships. Oh, what's that? Gardevoir won the 2,400 player Frankfurt Regionals, and then, let's hop over to Monterey. Oh, Gardevoir is making up, 5 of the top 9 placements, and both finalists are playing Gardevoir as well, so yeah. Oh, the World Championships won by Gardevoir. It's kind of like a Gardevoir world, and we're just living in it, right? So having that Psychic resistance, having that Psychic weakness is pretty bad. You really don't want to be dealing with that. But every deck has to have a bad matchup. I don't think it's worth trying to polish up your Gardevoir matchup with Mega Lucario. I really don't. I know I see a lot of questions in the chat, like, how do we beat Gardevoir with this? You probably don't reliably beat Gardevoir with it, but you can beat a lot of other stuff, and it's fun. And as far as, the deck goes, this is certainly the most promising, strongest Mega Evolution deck that we're seeing out of Japan so far. Nah, dude. It's cope. You're not consistently beating Gardevoir with this. You're not. If you're going to beat Gardevoir, it's going to be because you went turn 1 Solrock with Hariyama and just knocked out all their Curlias and crap. That's going to be how you beat it. Is you're just like, go, 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 go. Solrock, knockout, Ralts, Curlia, chase him down. Yes. Like that, yeah. That's how you're going to, if you're ever winning games, it's because you just went total ham with Solrock. Which is not like the worst game plan in the world, right? Like stage 2 decks can be inconsistent at times. I think if you're trying to beat a big purple deck with your fighting deck, I think that's cope, but there's also a couple more fighting buffs that are coming out in this set, but I don't think that they're nearly as good as the other cards we've talked about so far. Marshadow has got the Shadow Kick attack for 2 basic fighting energy, does 60 damage. Marshadow has got the Shadow Kick attack for 2 fighting energy, does 60 damage, and if your opponent's Pokemon is knocked out by damage from this attack, you prevent all damage from and effects of attacks done to this Pokemon during your opponent's next turn, so it becomes invincible, but you do have to take a KO with it. It's kind of a neat little attack. 60 damage can get ramped up to 90, 120 if you play some premium power pros. So it's possible to take little knockouts with Marshadow, but not the most consistent thing, and we don't really see any of the list from Japan playing it so far. There's also the Gardevoir, which was included in some of the pre-release kits. If any of you went to a Mega Evolution pre-release, then you're familiar with the Power Salt ability, which makes it so that attacks used by your fighting Pokemon do 30 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. I mean, that's a lot of buffs. We've got Premium Power Pro, we've got Max Belt, we've got the potential for Power Salt. I don't necessarily think that Gardevoir will be worth playing, but it's not totally unreasonable to think that Power Salt could be used if it was relevant to have that guaranteed 30 additional damage at some point. I kind of think that the energizing Rock Salt Gardevoir is better, the one that heals 30 and accelerates an energy into play. I am personally more of a fan of that Gardevoir, but, you know, this guy's here. He's neat. It's insane how many Garganacles we've gotten. That's true. All right. Up next, we've got the Darkness Pokemon, and no, it's not time to talk about Mega Gengar EX yet. That card comes up. That card comes out in our upcoming Phantasmal Flames set, I think. Or, no, it comes out in like a theme deck. No? Yeah? Theme deck? Yeah. It's not time to talk about Mega Gengar EX yet. That deck comes out. Yeah, I don't know what I'm trying to say, guys. It's not time to talk about Mega Gengar yet. That card comes out in a theme deck, okay? So for the Darkness Pokemon, we've got Mega Absol EX. Wow. Let's talk about Mega Absol. 280 hit point basic Pokemon EX. It's got 2 attacks. Doom Period for a Darkness and a Colorless Energy says if your opponent's active Pokemon has exactly 6 damage counters on it, that Pokemon is knocked out. And then Cruel Claw for 2 Darkness Energy and a Colorless does 200 damage. Your opponent reveals their hand, and you get to discard a card you find there. I don't think that this card is good at all. Now, there are going to be some better darkness cards coming out in our upcoming Phantasmal Flames set. On the horizon, we've got the very cool Mega Gengar EX, which is sure to be an insane card, but this card is not coming out in our Mega Evolution set. This will be released in, I think, its own kind of like theme deck or something, right? Like its own EX Mega Deck package, something to that effect. Yeah, and we're not getting that yet. And we're not getting Wonder Patch yet either. Those are coming out later. Thank you, Pedrix Kev, for that sub and the 14 months. Appreciate you, Pedrix. Thanks. But honestly, I just don't believe in... I don't believe in attacks like this. I don't think it's very good. I mean, I guess hypothetically, you could Iono your opponent to a low hand size and then, like, take a key knockout while removing a card from their hand. But this is a 3 energy attack. I suppose it's possible that you could use, like, a counter gain on it. It's just, I just am not a big believer in this. We live in a world with Pheasantipity EX, okay? We live in a world with Pheasantipity EX. I don't believe in this card. We've got Mew EX. We've got Pheasantipity EX. We've got Teal Mask Ogerpon. We've got the new Mega Kangaskhan EX. Do you know how many support Pokemon there are that draw cards doing 200 damage and discarding a single card from your opponent's hand? It's not enough. It's not enough. It's not enough. There's too much support out there. There's too much draw power out there. So, I'm not a believer in Mega Absol. I think this card is destined for the bulk bin. Spiritom's kind of neat. It's got the Resentful Maelstrom ability. Whenever your active Darkness Pokemon is damaged by an attack from your opponent's Pokemon, put 1 damage counter on the attacking Pokemon. So if you've got a bunch of Spiritomb in play, then you could rack up quite a few damage counters on your opponent's active Pokemon. And then the Mountain Breaker attack does 10 damage, and you get to discard the top card of your opponent's deck. Neat. I know. There was Yveltal GX. I know there was Yveltal GX. That cost 1 energy. Doomcount GX, it costs 1 energy. And wasn't there an easy way to put 4 damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon? Was it what, Galarian Zigzagoon? Also, there were VMAXs. So, like, getting an easy 1-hit KO on a VMAX was like... Yeah, there was like, literally, there's Galarian Zigzagoon, and it costs 1 energy. This costs 2 energy, has to be 6 damage counters. No Galarian Zigzagoon, no Scoop Up Net. Yveltal, new basic Pokemon, 110 hit points, got 2 attacks. Clutch is the one worth talking about, though. Does 20 damage for 1 darkness energy, and during your opponent's next turn, the defending Pokemon can't retreat. These kinds of attackers have been very good in standard format recently. We've got the Knackley, which can corner. We've got the Maractus, which can trap Pokemon as well. This Yveltal has free retreat. I think most of the time, you don't really want to be dealing damage when you're trying to like lock something active. So I've seen a lot of decks kind of playing either Knackley or the Maractus when they're trying to, hit for resistance intentionally so that they're not dealing any damage, so they can trap kind of indefinitely. But Yveltal's got free retreat, which is really nice, and 110 hit points, so neat little guy. This card could certainly see play in Grimmsnarl decks, right? Since Grimmsnarl decks are already playing Darkness Energy. So, yeah, I could certainly see that. Gets a little extra damage in play as well. You're not trying to stall indefinitely with a Grimmsnarl deck. So, yeah, I could see a one-of in Grimmsnarl, certainly. Mega Mawile EX, 270 hit point basic Pokemon with 2 attacks. First attack, Greedily Devour for 2 Metal Energy, does 80 damage for each prize card you have taken. And then Big Bites for 2 Metal and a Colorless, does 260 damage. But if your opponent's active Pokemon has any damage counters on it already, it only does 30 damage. I've seen some lists from Japan playing Mega Mawile EX. I think that Archaludon is kind of looking like it is the major enabler for the Mega Mawile EX. Yes, here is a City League winning list from Japan. Archaludon EX featuring Mega Mawile. Archaludon famously only does 220 damage with the Metal Defender attack. So if you want to reach up over 220 damage, decks have historically played the Poison package with Archaludon to try and hit those numbers. But Mega Mawile EX, just being able to clear Goldengo's 260 hit points is really good. Something else that I really like about the Mega Mawile in the Archaludon archetype is that Archaludon just like very easily powers it up with its Assemble Alloy ability, which accelerates basic fighting energy from your discard pile to your metal Pokemon. And then you can also just clean up games with Mega Mawile's first attack. The Greedily Devour attack does 80 damage for each prize card you have taken. So if you have taken 4 prizes, which is pretty easy to do with Archaludon, knocking out basic Pokemon EX, little guys, all that, then you can come in at the end of the game, and Greedily Devour will be doing 320 damage if you've taken 4 prizes. I really like... I said fighting energy? Where? What the heck, dude? Bro. Assemble Alloy says that whenever you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon during your turn, you can attach up to 2 Metal Energy cards from your discard pile to your Metal Pokemon in any way you like. Boom. I'll fix it in post. Thank you. Hate when I do that. Something that I really like about Mega Mawile is that its Greedily Devour attack ramps with the amount of prizes that you have taken, not the amount of prizes that your opponent has taken. Archaludon is supposed to be a tanky, tough to knock out Pokemon, right? It's a tanky deck. So you're going to be playing cards like Hero's Cape to make it even more difficult for your opponent to take knockouts. And the fact that Mawile kind of plays into that strategy by not doing more damage for the amount of prizes your opponent has taken. It does more damage for the amount of prizes you have taken. Really allows this Archaladon deck to be aggressive and kind of snowball knockouts into some big damage. So I really love Mega Mawile EX as a one-of in Archaladon builds. I feel like it gives the deck a lot more kind of explosive damage output at the end of the game. And then there are also, some other metal buffs in this set as well. The Iron Defender item says during your opponent's next turn, your metal Pokemon take 30 less damage from attacks. It's like an inverse. It's like an inverse Premium Power Pro. I think that generally speaking, cards like Premium Power Pro that allow you to do more damage are just way better than defensive cards like this, but maybe Iron Defender ends up having a place at some point. It's hard to imagine right now since we live in a world just absolutely dominated by Monkey Dory, where Monkey Dory can kind of just always make up the difference, 30 damage at a time, by just using Adrenabrain and chucking 30 extra damage onto your Pokemon. It's hard to imagine that Iron Defender would actually work in a format with so many monkeys monkeying around, but maybe eventually Metal Defender could be a thing. Maybe eventually Iron Defender could be a thing. It is certainly a neat option to have. I don't recall an item quite like this ever being printed before, where you could actually like stack its effect defensively. So game design wise, I think that's pretty neat. What is this? Why are they playing this stadium? Dangerous Ruins. Defender from base set worked like, I guess it did, right? Because Defender was not a tool. It works like that, but not exactly like that, because Defender can only be attached to your active. Whereas, like, Iron Defender just, like, puts a blanket effect on all of your metal Pokemon, even your benched ones. Which is kind of neat. Including Pokemon that kind of come into play after. Tinkatuff is not good. The Golden Go is not good. God, I miss Lucario Melmetal. What a cool deck. I don't actually miss Lucario Melmetal because that means that means I'm playing in Senti-Scorch VMAX format, which is one of the worst times I've ever had playing Pokemon. Senti-Scorch, what a miserable deck Senti-Scorch VMAX was. What an absolutely miserable deck. GLC TV, I see you trying to plug your own channel over there. Someone should do a set review, but just for GLC. I see you. I saw your Mega Evolution GLC set review. That's pretty hype. Some good content over there if you're interested in Gym Leader Challenge only. I think there's just a lot to talk about for standard format in this set review, so I feel like I'm kind of just like leaning into standard this time around. It's kind of just like, I mean, like all the megas are literally megas. I mean, for Gym Leader Challenge, like, obviously the stadium is quite good for Gym Leader Challenge, and the Lunatone and Soul Rock are, like, incredible for Gym Leader Challenge. But I feel like I've been doing a lot of Gym Leader Challenge talk on my channel lately, so I'm throwing the standard players a bone today. Yeah. I'm throwing the standard players a bone today and talking standard, all right? We're talking standard today, chat. We're being a bunch of standard Andes today. But yeah, shout out to GLC TV if you're interested in a Gym Leader Challenge Mega Evolution set review. They've done a great one over on YouTube. Okay, so what? We talked about metal Pokemon. Water? Psychic? Dragon? All right, let's talk water. Yeah, all those metal guys are bad. Water. Mega Abomasnow EX. 350 hit points, 2 attacks. Avalanche Hammer. I can guarantee you this is coming to a silly YouTube video near you in the future. All right, you will see this on your feeds. Avalanche Hammer. 2 water energy. Discard the top 6 cards of your deck. This attack does 100 damage for each basic water energy discarded in this way. So, what you're saying is, if I discard 4 water energy, then I'm doing 400 damage for 2 water energy. Yeah, I don't know. I tested this, okay, with Jesse Parker here on stream, and I tried really hard to make the best Abomasnow deck that I possibly could. We had 30 water energy in the deck. 30! That is 50% of the deck. And trust me, I wanted this thing to work. Why did I want it to work, you might ask? Because you may recall that one of the most popular videos on my channel is 40 energy deck pure domination, okay? I don't know that anything will ever beat 40 energy deck pure domination, okay? I don't know if it's possible. 30 energy deck kind of mid-performance doesn't quite have the same ring to it as the 40 energy deck pure domination Kyogre video from Celebrations. However, Mega Abomasnow certainly bringing that silly energy to the table. If you play like 30 water energy in your deck, I found that you can like sometimes hit 400 damage and sometimes you're going to hit 200 damage and lose really badly, actually. At the end of the day, I felt like I had a pretty decent list, was playing Hero's Cape. You've also got this Kyogre with the Riptide attack, which does 20 damage for each water energy in your discard pile. Then you can shuffle those cards back into your deck. The problem is if you play this Kyogre, then you might start it, which is not good because you don't want to have to play silly cards like Switch in your Mega Abomasnow deck because all you really want to play is Mega Abomasnow and then the cards that help you get Mega Abomasnow into play. That's it. Because every non-water energy card that you play is a card that you might discard off of Avalanche Hammer, and then you're going to miss the knockouts that you want to hit. Anyways, very silly, very funny deck. Not at all legitimate or real. So do not put any sort of mental time or emotional effort into this deck because it will betray you. Okay, I promise you that. It will. Abomasnow will betray you. There's this Clawitzer dude, 130 hit points, got the reverse and reload ability. Once during your turn, when this Pokemon moves from the active spot to the bench, you may attach up to 2 basic water energy from your hand to this Pokemon. Ew, from your hand? Oh, it's worse than I thought. I don't even want to read it anymore. From your hand? I thought it was from the discard pile. Oh, that's so stinky. Nope. Mega Manectric EX. Stage 1 Mega Pokemon, 330 hit points. It's got 2 attacks and free retreats, which actually combos really well with the other lightning support in standard format right now. Electric with the Dynamotor ability, which accelerates basic lightning energy from your discard pile to your benched Pokemon. Mega Manectric EX does offer the lightning pool of cards something valuable. It's got the Riot Blaster attack, which costs 3 lightning energy. You can discard all energy from this Pokemon, and if you do, it does 130 more damage. So you can hit 330 damage at any point in the game with Mega Manectric EX. The Black Bolt set saw the release of Zekrom EX, right? And Zekrom EX seemed like it was kind of the answer for dealing over 300 damage as a lightning Pokemon in standard, right? Voltage Burst, 50 more damage for each prize card your opponent has taken, can do 330 damage if your opponent has taken 4 prizes. Zekrom EX is okay. Mega Manectric really just allows you to be proactive in taking those big 330 damage knockouts with Riot Blaster. And then Mega Manectric also has the Flash Ray attack, which does 120 damage and prevents all damage done to this Pokemon by attacks from your opponent's basic Pokemon during their next turn. So against a deck like Raging Bolt, you could just go like Flash Ray, Flash Ray, Flash Ray, and just probably win. In order for Raging Bolt to actually knock out your Mega Manectric, they can do it, and they will. They would have to use Prime Catcher to push it to the bench and then use Boss's Orders to bring it back out into the active spot. If you use Prime Catcher and Boss in the same turn, you can push it to the bench, which resets its Flash Ray effect and negates it because all effects on Pokemon are removed when they get pushed to the bench. So, still not even a surefire dub versus any smart Raging Bolt player, but interesting nonetheless. The Mega Manectric EX having free retreat and being able to do 330 damage, I think, is the best part about it. Lightning is not really doing incredible things in standard format right now. I mean, you've got like the Joltik box deck, which is continuing to chip away, getting results. I think there was one Joltik box player who finished in the top 8 of one of these regional championships this past weekend. Yes, we had a top 8 Joltik box deck from Frankfurt. But this deck is a deck that's like really relying on Pikachu EX, and I think that Iron Hands EX is obviously very good against your setup decks, your slower stage 2 decks, and then Pikachu EX is in a really good place in the metagame right now because not a lot of decks are preparing for Pikachu EX. Pikachu EX had kind of like faded from the limelight around the World Championships slightly before. Nobody teching for Pikachu EX anymore. So it made a lot of sense that Pikachu EX was the focus of a lot of really successful decks at regional championships early on in the season. Mega Manectric doesn't have that same protection as a card like Pikachu EX. So I think Mega Manectric is just kind of okay. From my testing with it, I wasn't super impressed. I think that Mega Manectric is not like the answer for beating your Gardevoir decks that Lightning decks are really needing, right? Because in order for Lightning decks to beat those setup decks, you really just got to go Turbo Hands, Iron Hands. That's like the best thing that you can do. And Mega Manectric doesn't really help you play into that strategy at all. So that's kind of my feelings on Mega Manectric EX. Additionally, something else that's really bad that I have found is that when you're playing against Gardevoir EX, they can just use their Mew EX to copy Riot Blaster and knock you out in one hit easily, which is really bad. Gumshoes. It's hard for me to take a card like Gumshoes seriously. It's got the Gather Evidence ability, which allows you to switch a card from your hand with the top card of your deck, which historically a very strong ability, right? This was Orangaru's ability, Primate Wisdom, right? And Primate Wisdom was like an incredible ability in standard format, but Orangaru was a basic Pokemon. It feels so bad to have to evolve up into a stage 1 in order to have this effect, especially when many of us just still recall when this Orangaru was legal, right? I mean, it was printed in Sword and Shield base set, but then was getting reprints all the way up to Brilliant Stars. So yeah, this ability has historically been good, but I'd rather see it on a basic Pokemon. I still remember it being on a basic Pokemon. There are combos that you can make with the Gumshoes. There's that Slowking that you discard the top card of your deck. You can use an attack on that Pokemon. Sure, you could Slowking and Gumshoes. Sure, but it just takes up so much deck space having to get a stage 1 involved rather than just a basic. Psychic Patch doesn't come out in this set, Jolly Flying Man. That's it's a future theme deck. Seems like the Pokemon Company has wasted no time printing more Alakazam since Kadabra finally got released from, I don't know, Kadabra jail or wherever that magician that didn't like Pokemon using the Kadabra name on its cards. Anyways, Pokemon's printing a lot of Alakazam lately, which is really cool for all those Alakazam fans out there. And this Alakazam's got a pretty neat ability, Psychic Draw. When you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon during your turn, you could draw 3 cards. And then Kadabra has a very similar ability, except you get to draw 2 cards when you evolve it from your hand into play. And then Alakazam's got the Hand Power attack. For 1 Psychic Energy, you put 2 damage counters on your opponent's active Pokemon for each card in your hand. So all I have to do is get a gigantic hand, and then I can 1-hit KO anything in the Pokemon TCG. Excuse me. I'm pretty sure there's like a There's also the Tinkaton EX, right? With the big hammer attack. Does 30 damage for each card in your hand. And, of course, the Gather Materials Tinkaton, which allows you to discard a card from your hand and draw 3 cards. So, lots of funny hand-expanding cards. You could play with Alakazam to hand power for lots of damage. Do I think that this is a real, legitimate strategy that will be meta impacting in standard format? Absolutely not. Very silly. But some people like silly. And Alakazam is here for all you silly enjoyers. Will it be an okay support engine? No. What about the Lieutenant Surge supporter? We haven't gotten to the supporters yet, but that's, you know, it's certainly a thing. Well, thank goodness Mega Gardevoir. Well, thank goodness Gardevoir is getting more tools for standard format. God knows it needs the help, am I right? Mega Gardevoir EX. Of course we've got a Mega Gardevoir EX. Why couldn't it have been Gallade? Why does Gallade never get anything nice? There is a Mega Gallade, right? I think Mega Gallade like just got revealed recently. But, or has Mega Gallade always been out? Truthfully, I don't know. Did it get released recently? Revealed recently, or is it kind of always? Mega Gallade is old. Why couldn't it have been a Mega Gallade? Why is it always got to be Gardevoir? Always. It's always Gardevoir. Gardevoir everything. Gardevoir all the time. You open the newest pack of Pokemon cards, boom, Gardevoir. And Mega Evolution is no different. Mega Gardevoir EX got 360 hit points and 2 attacks. Its first attack, Overflowing Wishes, costs 1 Psychic Energy. And for each of your bench Pokemon, you get to search your deck for a basic Psychic Energy card and attach it to that Pokemon. Then shuffle your deck. And then Mega Symphonia for 1 Psychic Energy does 50 damage for each Psychic Energy attached to all of your Pokemon. Why is Mega Gardevoir EX... Why is Mega Gardevoir EX showing... Why is Mega Gardevoir EX giving major Alcremie VMAX vibes? Mega Gardevoir EX is feeling a lot like Alcremie VMAX to me. Alcremie VMAX was kind of like a fun, silly deck to play during the Sword and Shield era. Mega Gardevoir EX obviously enters standard format at a time where Gardevoir EX is already the best deck in the Pokemon TCG. You could slot a single Mega Gardevoir into your Gardevoir EX deck to just one-hit KO things with Mega Symphonia. We saw that Mega Gardevoir lists are starting to run more basic Psychic Energy already right? With the top list from the Frankfurt and the Monterey Regional Championships. With 8 basic Psychic Energy in the list, it is certainly easy to imagine a Mega Symphonia dealing what? You're doing 50 damage for each Psychic Energy attached to all your Pokemon. You got 8. You could deal 400 damage. Mega Gardevoir EX could deal 400 damage if you've got 8 Psychic Energy in play, and all of the best Gardevoir EX lists from the regional championships that just happened are playing 8 Psychic Energy now, so it's easy to imagine Gardevoir EX decks just slotting in a Mega Gardevoir to be able to Mega Symphonia for 400 damage, if that's something that you're interested in doing. And I don't see why not. Especially with Mega Pokemon kind of coming into the fray, why not give your Gardevoir EX deck an option to just absolutely demolish something for 400 damage? That seems pretty good. But this time that Mega Gardevoir EX gets to exist alongside Gardevoir EX is limited. Rotation will be coming in the spring, and then Gardevoir EX from Scarlet and Violet base set will rotate out of Standard, just leaving Mega Gardevoir. So it is kind of worth thinking about this card as a standalone card as well, and there is a lot of support for Mega Gardevoir EX, even without Gardevoir EX from Scarlet and Violet. We've got a couple of things right here in this set. The Grumpig with the Energy Step ability allows you to look at the top 4 cards of your deck and attach any number of basic energy you find there to your Pokemon in any way you like. I'm going to be honest with you guys, I don't really expect this Grumpig to be any good. It is just explicitly way worse than Metang, right? Metang's got the Metal Maker ability. Maybe I'm just spoiled, okay? But Metang gets to do this like every turn of the game, and Metang is only like, you know, decent. It did win a regional championship with Dialga V-Star, sure. But like, I don't really see Grumpig being any good when its ability is just strictly worse than Metang. There is the Suspicious Watch item card that allows you to choose one of your evolved psychic Pokemon and put any number of its evolution cards back into your hand to devolve it. But again, that's it just takes a lot of cards and takes a lot of effort compared to a card like Metang that just kind of like keeps going every single turn. Grumpig is just not very good, right? It requires more cards to use, and Metang is like kind of barely good. So Grumpig is really just not good. Now, this Mega Gardevoir EX will eventually inherit the new Wonder Patch, which is not coming out in Mega Evolution. These cards here are from the starter decks, the Mega Diancie starter deck, the Mega Gengar starter deck, which are going to be releasing in the West, you know, in the upcoming months, leading up to our Phantasmal Flames set. Wonder Patch is just a Psychic Dark Patch, right? Just a Psychic Aqua Patch, a Psychic Metal Saucer. Yeah, Psychic is getting the item-based energy acceleration treatment that many other types in the Pokemon TCG have gotten throughout the years. My guess, at this rate, doesn't it seem like every type is eventually going to get this? Maybe not Dragon and maybe not Colorless, but it seems like to me that Pokemon is kind of on a mission to eventually give every single type the item-based energy acceleration. We've got water, we've got dark, we've got metal. There's Glass Trumpet for colorless. Fire has got Magma Basin, right? Like you could kind of, Magma Basin is kind of it, right? For fire. It's a stadium-based card, but like does the same thing, but it's a stadium, sure. You can't play 2 in the same turn. That's like the only thing. But it seems like every type is kind of eventually getting this, right? So maybe Dragon will. Maybe Dragons will get a Dragon patch one day. Crazy to think. But anyways, the Wonder Patch certainly will combo with the Mega Gardevoir EX, allowing you to, launch big Mega Symphonia attacks. You could also just kind of like shuttle out a Mega Gardevoir EX into play and use the Overflowing Wishes attack to accelerate energy into play, and then Mega Symphonia for like 400 damage. This card just seems good, chat. Seems good. Does a lot of damage. It's way better than Alcremie VMAX was. And obviously can slot right into successful Gardevoir EX decks right off rip. And then the card might even have some life in a post-Gardevoir EX rotation world. Not a lot of dragons in Mega Evolution, but there are a couple. Mega Latios EX and Latios. They are intended to be played together as, I don't know, are they brother and sister Pokemon, or are they lovers? I'm getting I'm getting mixed messages from, I don't know. You look at like they're brother and sister. They're just brother and sister that love each other. All right. They're brother and sister. I don't know. I always saw this and I'm like, they look like, they're in love. You guys are killing me in the chat. We've got Mega Latios EX and Latios, the brother and sister Pokemon, who are obviously meant to be played together. Mega Latios EX has got 280 hit points. It's a basic Pokemon EX with 2 attacks. It's got the Strafe attack, 40 damage, switch this Pokemon with one of your bench Pokemon, and then Mirage Pulse for a Fire, Psychic, and Colorless. Does 300 damage. Wow. And you have to discard all energy from this Pokemon. Latios has got the Luster Assist ability. Once during your turn, when Mega Latios EX moves from the bench to the active spot, you may move any number of energy from your bench Pokemon to that active Pokemon. So it basically just shuttles all of your energy to the Mega Latios, and Mega Latios can use Mirage Pulse. Now, that's all well and good, but it's terrible. I'm sorry to say it's terrible, because you just might as well be playing Pikachu EX, right? If we just compare apples to apples, if we've got apples and apples and we're comparing them, okay? Pikachu EX is just strictly way better than the Latios EX. Yeah, because Pikachu EX, very similar thing, right? Topaz Bolt, 300 damage for 3 energy. 300 damage for 3 energy. And you discard 3 energy from this Pokemon. Discard all energy from this Pokemon. What the heck? It's the same thing. Except Mega Latios EX has got 280 hit points. Pikachu EX only has 200 hit points. However, Pikachu EX is far superior to Mega Latios because it's got the Resolute Heart ability, which makes it so that it can't easily get one-hit KO'd. So Pikachu EX just clears because it's got the Resolute Heart ability, and it's also a Terra Pokemon, so it inherits all of the buffs that Terra Pokemon get, like access to the Noctowl engine, access to Area Zero Underdepths, access to the Sparkling Crystal Ace Spec to make its attack cost and energy less. It only gives up 2 prizes, where Mega Latias EX gives up 3 prizes. It's got built-in bench barrier. So, yeah, Mega Latias EX sucks. Sorry. Pikachu did it better. Mega Kangaskhan. You know what? Something that I was missing in my Pokemon trading card game. I was missing... You know what I was missing in my Pokemon TCG? The 300 hit point, 3 prize card basic Pokemon. Thank God we've got a 300 hit point, 3 prize Pokemon back in our Pokemon TCG. How could I even wake up in the morning when there's no 300 hit point basic Pokemon legal for standard play? Thank God Mega Kangaskhan is bringing it back. 300 hit points and the run errand ability. Once during your turn, if this Pokemon is in the active spot, you can use this ability, draw 2 cards. Now, you can't use more than 1 run errand ability each turn, because apparently that would be too broken. So Mega Kangaskhan EX, he draws cards. And then he's got a terrible attack, which is very par for the course if you look at all of the Kangaskhan that have ever been printed. Rapid Fire Combo. For 3 colorless energy, does 200 damage, and you flip a coin until you get tails. The attack does 50 more damage for each heads. Not the best attack, but it's possible to, like, imagine it being, right? Not the best attack, but it's possible to imagine it being used. Colorless Pokemon do have a lot of support, after all. We've got the Glass Trumpet, right? Which accelerates energy to your bench colorless Pokemon, so we do have that. There's also Bouffalant, right? Which can use its Curly Wall ability to make it so that your basic colorless Pokemon takes 60 less damage from attacks. So, I mean, all of a sudden your Mega Kangaskhan is looking a lot scarier when it's taking 60 less damage because of Bouffalant. So, it's not like the most insane thing to imagine a Mega Kangaskhan EX focused deck. I don't really suspect that that's going to be great, but like maybe, you know, I'm not going to totally discount it. And the real thing about Mega Kangaskhan though is that it just gives you extra draw power in combination with Latias, right? So Latias EX, obviously one of the strongest basic Pokemon in standard format right now because of its Skyliner ability, which just makes it so your basic Pokemon in play have no retreat cost. The one thing holding Mega Kangaskhan back is its fat 3 retreat cost, right? So not a very mobile dude. However, with Latias EX, it's got that easy breezy free retreat since Mega Kangaskhan is a basic Pokemon, so you can just promote your Mega Kangaskhan EX, use the Run Errand ability to draw 2 cards, then flip the script with Pheasantipity EX to draw 3 more cards. You could even, before you do any of that, use Mew EX's Restart ability to fill your hand to 3, then Run Errand, then flip the script. Look at all those cards you're drawing, right? And eventually, Mew EX will rotate out of standard format. So, you know, like maybe Mega Kangaskhan EX gets used in those kind of big basic draw engines. Ignition Energy doesn't work, chat. Stop saying ignition energy. Stop it. I've been trying to ignore you, but too many of you are saying it, okay? Only provides 3 on evolution Pokemon, okay? Read. Why won't it read? Read. Why won't it read? Read the card. It's okay. I'm not singling anybody out because there's multiple people saying it. All right, here we go. On to the next. But it's a mega basic. It says basic right there. The image has 3 white balls, so it gives 3 white balls. Do I think we'll ever get another Path to the Peak style stadium? Of course. Of course I do. Don't you? Traditionally, game designers have printed lots of... I mean, they already gave us Watchtower, which is not nearly as good, but it is an ability-locking stadium. Like, yes, eventually we'll get something like that again. You got the Sun and Moon era had Power Plant. The Sword and Shield era had Path to the Peak. This era is not getting one. This era got Watchtower, which is not nearly as good. My hope is that Pokemon gives us... Dude, they just need to quit being wimps. Just give us freaking Gardevoir back. This guy. Right here. Just do that. Or this guy. I'll even take... At this point, I'll take Muck. I'll take a Alolan Muck, dude. Each basic Pokemon in play has no abilities. Literally give us Muck, dude. Imagine how many decks just... Yeah, Muck would be so sick. Just shutting down Fez. Fez not having any counterplay is like ridiculous, in my opinion. I think it's absolutely, absolutely ridiculous. Gardevoir would love Muck too much. Well, you know. But you could do it to Gardevoir too. I mean, Gardevoir wouldn't have any out at the end of the game to an Iono as well. Except, so the decks that yeah, no monkeys. Oh my God. This card would shut down Monkey. Dude, we need this card so bad. Monkey Dory is a just... I'm sick of Monkey Dory, dude. I'm sick of Monkey Dory. I'm sick of Pheasantipity. Give us Muck back. And if you won't give us Muck back, give us Guardy back. Or give us Gardevoir back. Yeah, give us Gardevoir back. Gardevoir or Muck, one of the two. Oh yeah, Gardevoir. Imagine Gardevoir, dude. Just turn off all the ability. All the abilities should be able to be turned off. All of them. I should have, at some point, at any point, if I want to, I should be able to build a deck that shuts down all abilities. Not this Iron Thorns garbage where it only turns off EXs. Not this Ting Lu garbage where it doesn't turn off EXs. Just all abilities should be able to be turned off. If I set my mind to it, I should be able to shut down every single ability. That's how, yeah. We don't even have something like a wheezing right now. You know, like Galarian wheezing. At least Sword and Shield had neutralizing gas. But this format doesn't even have this. And don't you dare say Iron Thorns. No, the situational ability. You think shutting down abilities is toxic? I think unchecked abilities is toxic. Having abilities that go unchecked is toxic. Every ability should have a check. The game should have checks and balances, folks. Checks and balances. Checks and balances isn't toxic. That's just good game design. Item lock is good too. Hex Maniac, bring it back. Bring back Hex Maniac and Versus Seeker. Why not? Why the heck not, dude? Yeah, just bring back Hex Maniac. We had a lot of fun with Hex Maniac. We had a lot of fun with Hex Maniac back in the day, dude. Yeah, Hex is the answer. Yeah, I knocked out for Hex Maniac. Oh yeah, dude. Oh yeah. God, Hex Maniac is so sick. Hex Maniac, but it draws 2 cards. God, that would be so sick. The thing is that when you have this kind of counterplay, it just makes the game more fun because you like actually get into like you actually have counterplay to like what your opponent is doing. That makes the game more fun, not less fun. Things like item lock, ability lock, these things make the game more fun. Yo, thanks Nick Rosie for that sub in the 20 months. Appreciate it. Support lock? Nah, that's not very good. You need a, yeah, the Crobat, no. Hex Maniac, but it says you can't play it if you used an ability this turn. God, another Hex Maniac would be so sick. More fun for who? Everyone. The game is better. The game is better when you have counterplay. The Pokemon TCG is just a better game with counterplay. Can we go back to the card review? You got it, Dominique. I'm on my way right now. God forbid I do a little yapping. All right, where were we? Yeah. All right. I think we're on the trainers. We just talked about Mega Kangaskhan. Delibird is not good. Mega Signal is a new item card. Allows you to search your deck for a Mega Evolution Pokemon EX and put it into your hand. That's good. It's good because it's free search. And anytime you got free search, it's usually good. So, Mega Signal is also good if you need to search out Mega Evolution Pokemon EX. Acerola's Mischief is a new supporter card that you can only use if your opponent has 2 or fewer prize cards remaining. Choose one of your Pokemon in play during your opponent's next turn. Prevent all damage from and effects of attacks done to this Pokemon by attacks from your opponent's Pokemon EX. I think that this is a cool effect. In decks that can search out Acerola's Mischief on a key turn, this seems like a neat way to make comebacks, making your Pokemon invincible to your opponent's Pokemon EX. You can only use it if you have 2. You can only use it if your opponent has 2 or less prize cards remaining. So its use is limited, but it is very powerful. And I think that, designing your route in a game to incorporate Acerola's Mischief is fun. I mean, it forces your opponent to have a game-winning boss's orders or to have a single prize Pokemon that can take a big knockout at the end of the game. And I think that that's neat as well. I don't expect Acerola's Mischief to see a ton of play, but I expect it to kind of see play in the same way that Briar saw some play. It's easier to play than Briar. Briar only works as a way to take an additional prize card if your opponent only has 2 prize cards exactly remaining, whereas Acerola's Mischief can be used if your opponent has 2 or 1 prize remaining. You can of course use Dusknoir to put your opponent to 2 prizes remaining, then use Acerola's Mischief and try to wall your opponent off from having that win condition at the end of the game. However, Boss's Orders is obviously still a thing, and your opponent can use Prime Catcher or Boss's Orders or Sumo Catcher or Iron Bundle, anything to push around your active Pokemon or the Pokemon that you choose. Something that is interesting is that Acerola's Mischief doesn't just make it so that your active Pokemon is protected, though that's usually the Pokemon that you'll probably protect. It says choose one of your Pokemon in play, and then that Pokemon is, invincible to attacks from your opponent's Pokemon EX. So if you've got a liability on your bench, say you've got like a big Mega Evolution Pokemon in the active, you're not really worried about that dude getting knocked out at the end of the game, but maybe you are worried about losing the game with your opponent going boss on the Fez. Then you can use Acerola's Mischief to protect against your Fezandipity on the bench. So I think that's interesting. It's at least interesting card design. I don't know that I've seen a card quite like this before from creatures, so I like it. We've also got a big healing card, which is crazy because as we have, continued to watch Pokemon get bigger and bigger and more bloated, it's crazy to think that you could just heal all the damage that's on one of your, nearly 400 hit point Mega Evolution Pokemon. But Wally's Compassion allows you to do just that. Heal all damage from one of your Mega Evolution Pokemon EX, and then you put all energy attached to that Pokemon back into your hand. Obviously, if you were playing this card in a Mega Venusaur deck, you could use Solar Trans to move the energy off of your Mega Venusaur, use Wally's Compassion to heal all damage from the Mega Venusaur, then move the energy back and go from there. So, you've got a healing option for the biggest Pokemon ever released in the Pokemon TCG. It does come at the downside of returning the energy to your hand, but with cards like Mega Venusaur, it doesn't really matter because you can move the energy off and then back on. Surfing Beach is a new stadium card. Says once during each player's turn, that player may switch their active water Pokemon with one of their benched water Pokemon. Nice little switching out for those water decks out there. And I know some gamers are immediately thinking, this is going to be incredible for my pet Palafin EX deck. That's right. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny. The best combo I can think of is with Palafin EX. Palafin EX has got the Giga Impact attack. 250 damage for 1 energy. It's pretty good. 340 hit points. That's Mega Evolution numbers, but Palafin only gives up 2 prize cards. It's a regular Pokemon EX, which is really cool, right? And the unfortunate thing about Palafin EX is it's got the Hero Spirit ability, which says that this Pokemon can only be put into play with the effect of Palafin's 0 to Hero ability. So you have to look up, okay, what is 0 to Hero? What is that? Okay, here we are. 0 to Hero. Once during your turn, when this Pokemon moves from the active spot to the bench, you may search your deck for a Palafin EX. Holy crap, it works with the stadium, folks. Surfing Beach. There we go. Perfect, right? Surfing Beach allows you to switch your water Pokemon around. 0 to Hero activates when you switch your dudes around. It's like Surfing Beach was handcrafted in the lab for Palafin. Somebody at Creatures Inc., the company that designs the cards, was like, you know what? I love Palafin, and Palafin is not nearly as good as we thought it was going to be when we were in the lab cooking this thing up. So we're going to need to release a buff, and they did. Surfing Beach. There you go. All you Palafin fans out there, you've got Surfing Beach now. Now, does that mean that Palafin is tier 1 now? No, it just is better than it was. But maybe, I don't know. I'm not saying I've tested it. I haven't tested it. But it certainly gets a buff, and that's exciting. There's also the new Mystery Garden Stadium card. Once during each player's turn, that player may discard 1 energy card from their hand to draw cards until they have as many cards in hand as they have psychic Pokemon in play. Thank goodness we've got more purple buffs. Mystery Garden. Okay. The stadium is okay. Honestly, it kind of reads better than it is when you realize that the stadium is actually not good early on in the game, because you only get to fill your hand. You only get to fill your hand to the amount of psychic Pokemon you have in play. So if you have 5 psychic Pokemon in hand, then you get to discard an energy and fill your hand to 5, which is pretty good. 6, obviously you're filling your hand to 6, but you have to have 6 psychic Pokemon in play. That's no Pheasantipity, right? So 5 is usually the number you'll be hitting. And then early on in the game, you probably only have 3 psychic Pokemon in play, maybe 4. So you're only filling your hand to 4 with the discarded energy. It's just not as good as it reads in practice, which is kind of what I've found out from my testing with it. You just don't always have a board full of 6 psychic Pokemon to fully take advantage of Mystery Garden. It's a very balanced card. I think it'll see some play, but it's not the most broken thing ever. We've also got the new Lieutenant Surge's Deal, a supporter card that says, ask your opponent if they agree to have each player take a prize card. If your opponent agrees, you each take a prize card. And if they don't, you get to draw 4 cards. What a funny card, right? I love cards like this. I think one of my favorite trainers ever is probably Challenge. Ask your opponent if they accept your challenge. I love that, right? I think it's so fun. You just have kind of like this interactiveness. You have this like interactiveness between you and your opponent, which is funny. I think the game should have more stuff like this, right? Where you like ask your opponent if they accept the challenge. Now, this card is one of my favorite cards because you ask your opponent if they accept the challenge. If they do, you both get to fill your bench with basic Pokemon, which is just like a feel-good, fun thing. Like, hey, we both get to play the game. Yay. And then if they deny your challenge, you get to draw 2 cards, which is also like a feel-good. This card seems much worse than that because you're asking your opponent if we could both take a prize card, which I'm not like the biggest fan of that because you should have to like, I don't know, play the game to take prize cards. Like, why just make the game? Is this their solution to like games? Too many games are going to time. We should just let players like just take prize cards for free. Too many games are going to time. We got to speed things up. How do we speed things up? Well, what if we just like let them agree to like play a 5 prize game instead? So the card is kind of terrible because you're like asking your opponent for your supporter for turn is basically nothing. If your opponent accepts, you're like, cool, we both take a prize card. It's not like you're playing Lieutenant Surge's deal to go behind in prizes so that then you can like activate Counter Catcher because you like both take a prize card, right? And then if your opponent accepts, they're like, cool, we'll just both take a prize card. And that was like your supporter for turn was that we both took a prize card. Now, and then your opponent like didn't have to do anything. Literally, your opponent didn't have to do anything to take that prize card. like literally anything. All they had to do was say yes. So they didn't have to play their supporter for turn to take a prize card. All they had to do was say like, sure, that sounds fine. And then, if they deny it, then you get to draw 4 cards. I think this card sucks. It's like really, really bad. I don't expect it to see play, but like maybe I'm wrong, but this card is like terrible for sure. And I don't even I am a fan of cards like this being designed, but it's still I don't not this one though. This one is too silly, I think. This supporter, however, is not silly at all. This is one of the strongest supporter cards ever printed. It's crazy to think. I mean, when I started playing the Pokemon trading card game eons ago, dang near 15 years ago, when I started playing competitively, like Professor Oak's new theory was one of the staple supporters that you would see in like tons of decks. Just shuffle draw 6, right? Just like a vanilla shuffle draw 6. And then later on, we would get Cynthia during the Sun and Moon era, right? Which again was just a shuffle draw 6 in Ultra Prism. And these cards were both very good during their time. And the formula has never been altered, really. I mean, it's just Shuffle Draw 6 has always kind of just been like the premium Shuffle Draw supporter. It's never been buffed, right? There are worse Shuffle Draw cards like Shauna, which is only Shuffle Draw 5, right? And there's Tate and Liza, which is Shuffle Draw 5 or switch your active with one of your bench. There's Colress, which is a shuffle your hand into your deck and draw a number of cards equal to the number of bench Pokemon in play. So it could be a Shuffle Draw 10 if both you and your opponent have a full bench of 5. But early on in the game kind of sucks, right? If you and your opponent only have a couple bench Pokemon, then you're only going to Shuffle Draw 4 or so, which is like, balanced. But then Lily's Determination is just shuffle your hand into your deck, draw 6. But if you have 6 prize cards remaining, draw 8. Absolutely mind-blowing. This is a huge buff to the Shuffle Draw 6 equation. Shuffle Draw 6 is just like a vanilla good supporter, like just a good supporter, right? Like decks would play that just because it's a good supporter. Now, the fact that you could Shuffle Draw 8 at the beginning of the game is absolutely nuts. Starting the game with an 8-card hand is good. It is really, really good. That's about as good as it gets. A ton of decks are going to play this card. A ton. There's a lot of decks that are just never going to think about playing Research anymore because Lily's Determination is the best way to start a game. Shuffle Draw 8. Just start with an 8-card hand. If your opponent doesn't disrupt it, then you're drawing, you got 9 cards in hand. I mean, it's insanity. So, a lot of decks are just going to be playing 4 of these off rip. And then Shuffle Draw 6, that's not even a downside. Like, Shuffle Draw 6 is just a fine draw supporter at any other point in the game. But then getting to start with a Shuffle Draw 8, control decks now have the option to just Shuffle Draw 8 the entire game, which is crazy. So it's nuts. This is going to be a format warping card. This is going to be one of those like forever supporters that's just like forever good. It is like a Iono level powerful supporter. It's right up there with like your Ns, your Ionos, your Researches. Like these are some of the best draw supporters ever printed. N, Iono, Professor's Research, Lily's Determination. Those are like the best draw supporters ever. Like some of the best draw supporters ever. And I fully expect many standard decks to be playing a full 4 copies of Lily's Determination. I mean, many decks are gonna be playing 4, and it's gonna change the way we play the game. I mean, really, I think that Research is gonna be the card that sees a lot less play as a result, because decks will absolutely want to keep their hand disruption options with Iono. So I think that you're gonna see a lot of decks go to like 4 Lilies, 4 Iono. And what's interesting about that is that 4 Lily, 4 Iono gives you like, it basically gives you the option to not waste a single card in your deck if you don't want to. You never have to research a card you don't want to. You could have full access to all of the resources in your deck. You would never have to waste something with a research. So that's really interesting. It is, right? In a way, research can be helpful to help you thin cards out of your deck. You know, sometimes research is just good because it gets a lot of garbage out of your deck as you discard your hand, draw 7. But, yeah, it's going to be crazy to see how Lily's impacts the game. If you ever played in any of the formats with like N or Cynthia or Professor Oak's New Theory, then you know, even though Cynthia and Professor Oak's New Theory were like good turn 1 supporters, N was like a good turn 1 supporter, you could still lose games because you would go Shuffle Draw 6 and you hadn't like thinned your deck at all yet because it's the beginning of the game, and you just drew into like 6 horrible cards. That used to happen like all the time. But with Lily's Determination, you like literally don't even have to worry about that anymore. You just go to 8, like going to 8? Just going to 8 for free? It's just like insane. So this card's going to be completely format warping, and almost all decks are going to play it. Dangerous Ruins, another new stadium card, but we've seen this type of effect. Yeah. Dangerous Ruins is another new stadium card, but we've seen this type of effect in the Pokemon TCG before. It says whenever any player puts a basic Pokemon except for Darkness Pokemon onto their bench, put 2 damage counters on that Pokemon. Same thing as Magma Base, right? Same thing as... There's other stadiums that are like the same thing. There's this other one, not just Magma Base. I forget. There's another one that people are playing in like Gym Leader Challenge now, like instead of Magma Base sometimes. Yeah, was it Calamitous Wasteland? Is that it? Bog is Gapejaw Bog. That's it. Yeah. We've seen this type of effect before with cards like Team Magma Secret Base and Gapejaw Bog. It's fine, right? I don't think this type of effect is very good in a format with cards like Nest Ball and Buddy Buddy Poffin, because Nest Ball and Buddy Buddy Poffin allow you to search your deck for a basic Pokemon and put it straight onto your... Oh, what? Oh, I didn't read. Oh, wow. This card's crazy, actually. All right. I didn't read. All right. We've seen this type of effect before with cards like Team Magma Secret Base and Gapejaw Bog. However, this is a buff on that formula because Team Magma Secret Base and Gapejaw Bog only work when Pokemon come into play from the hand. But Dangerous Ruin says whenever any player puts a basic Pokemon, except for Darkness Pokemon, onto their bench. So even if a Pokemon is being searched out of the deck via Buddy Buddy Poffin or Nest Ball, it still gets smacked for 2 damage counters by Dangerous Ruins, which is really good. I mean, honestly, that makes me look at this stadium in like an entirely different light. You could play Dangerous Ruins with your own Monkey Dory and then move damage counters off your own Monkey Dory, which is already something that's like happening all the time in standard format. You could play Dangerous Ruins as a way to just get some chip damage on your opponent's Pokemon. You could play it in Dragapult decks to try and get extra damage counters on your opponent's board so that you can take knockouts more easily with Phantom Dive, so maybe you don't have to worry as much about getting that Hawlucha down on the turn that you want it to deal 70 damage to a bench Pokemon. Yeah, Dangerous Ruins, just cool stadium. Nice update on this classic kind of residual damage stadium formula that we've seen in the past. All right. And that is going to do it for our Mega Evolution set review, y'all. Which cards are you most excited about from our upcoming Pokemon TCG expansion? If you're watching on YouTube, let me know in the comments below. Thank you all so much for joining me today. Again, huge shout out to Full Grip Games. Full Grip Games is going to be hosting the Mega Evolution $6,000 cash doubleheader weekend, September 27th and 28th. We have the standard $3,000 cash Mega Evolution legal event happening Saturday, September 27th, and the Gym Leader Challenge $3,000 cash Mega Evolution legal event happening on Sunday, September 28th in beautiful Akron, Ohio. So make sure to mark your calendars, make the trip out if you can. Signups are available at fullgripgames.com now. I'm going to be casting the entire event with my good friends JW Krewall and Riley Hulbert right here on Tricky Gym all weekend. So it's going to be an awesome time. I'll see you then. And for those of you that are watching here live, thank you for joining me for the stream today. I got a lot of videos that I need to edit up, so I'm going to be scooting on out of here to get some editing done. But thank you so much for joining me for the stream today. Huge thanks to all the subs and people who supported over on Twitch. Huge thank you to everybody who tuned in on YouTube as well. I'll be back tomorrow night with Gym Leader Challenge League Night here at Full Grip Games. And hopefully I can lock in for the next few hours and crank out some video editing so I can get some videos up on the old YouTube channel in the, for you all to enjoy in the days ahead. So yeah, I gotta lock in on some video editing, but thank you so much for joining me for the stream today. Y'all have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern Time for Gym Leader Challenge League Night at Full Grip Games.